Hey, BassGeek here, and today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to get started fishing a jerkbait. Today we're going to be talking about jerkbaits, not soft jerkbaits like the fluke or the caffeine shad or whatever it is you like to use. We'll talk about those on another day. Today we're talking about the basics of the hard jerkbait. Now I break these down into two different categories. I break them down into twitch baits and rip baits. They're pretty easy to tell apart right out of the package. So the twitch bait. The twitch bait, you'll notice, is very square. A lot of times it's got flat sides, almost a flat top, but it's not rounded. It's a very squared off bait from top to bottom. And you'll notice in the water that when you just pull this bait, it's got a very tight side to side wiggle. It doesn't have a lot of roll action to it. The twitch bait doesn't take a lot of rod movement to impart action to get this bait to move or dart side to side. Now the rip bait. The rip bait, on the other hand, is a more rounded body, a more oval shape from top to bottom. You really have to impart action. You've got to work at this bait to get it to move. Now if you look at it in the water, if you just pull it along, you'll notice that it's got a very big wiggle and a big kick side to side. So it really has a lot of roll action to the body. You really have to give it some hard twitches to get this bait to move. Now both of these baits can be broke down into two other subcategories. So you've got shallow diving, and generally that's going to dive anywhere from 3 to 5 feet. Deeper diving, that's going to dive anywhere from about 8 to 12 feet. Now jerkbaits don't really dive very deep, but with that erratic action that you're putting into the bait, it really calls the fish up. Now the other thing is, when you're fishing a jerkbait, you want at least 2 to 3 foot of water visibility. This is really best in clear water. Now I'm not going to tell you can't catch them on a jerkbait in dirty water. I've taken a fire tiger pattern and caught them in mud, literally chocolate milk up shallow. So it can be done. Is it the best technique? Sometimes yes, most of the time in my opinion, no it's not. Alright, let's talk about color. Now you all know that most of the time I'm a 5-color guy. I like to keep my colors real simple. In jerkbaits, it's the same thing. I really go with a translucent, might have a green back, might have a white belly, might be completely translucent. Something that's going to look like a very pale translucent shad. This is Rapala's Ghost Shad in their Shadow Wrap series. Then I'm going to go with something that's got a little bit of chrome. May change up the colors on the back, but something that's got some good flash to it. From there, it's going to have maybe a little chartreuse, maybe a little orange on the belly, maybe a little bit of blue on the back, something that's going to have some really bright, vibrant colors to it. And with the jerkbait, that's all you really need as far as colors go. It's really those 3 colors. So should you start with a deep or shallow diver? Start with the shallow divers, especially if you're a bank angler. Do not go with the deep divers. Guys, you're going to be working either parallel to some shallow water, or you're going to be throwing out deep and working up shallow. So it's going to dive into the bank as you're pulling it up there. So let's talk about rod, reel, and line setup. Now the rod that I like to use is anywhere from a 7-foot to a 6/8. I like the 6/8 a little bit better because I can come down, I'm not hitting the boat or the water near as much. If you're on the bank, I would heavily suggest a 6/8 rod. So as far as the rod action goes, I like a medium, moderate action. I like a nice soft tip. These things can be light. I want to get the longest cast I can get. And then they've got small treble hooks on them, guys. You want that parabolic bend so that you're not ripping those trebles out of their face when you're trying to land a big bass on these. As far as the reels go, guys, I'm telling you, I love my Lew's LFSs. Again, not sponsored, not part of the Lose team at all, but I will tell you, this is the new Super Duty LFS. It's awesome. It casts these light baits super smooth and a long way. So they're super smooth and they can cast these lighter baits a mile. And this is actually my original one, and this is a Lose just speed spool LFS. Now I like a 6-8 to 1. A 6-3 is just a little too slow. It doesn't take up enough line, and I find one for me in the 7s that I'm moving my reel too fast, and I'm moving the bait with the reel, which you shouldn't do, as opposed to the rod, which is what you're trying to do. Now let's talk about line. Guys, you know, you can go back and watch the video where I talk about using braid backing. This is one place where braid backing really helps. It gets that spool spinning faster, and with the light fluorocarbon, generally I'm throwing 10. Sometimes if I want to get it deeper, I'll throw 8-pound test fluorocarbon on here. The braid backing really gets that spool to spinning. It allows me to get longer casts out of this bait. And a long cast is really important. So how do I fish these baits? Well, like I said, the very first thing you want to do is make a long cast. Now with that cast out there, you can do two things. If it's a little deeper, you can reel it down 2 or 3 times real quickly to get it to the depth you want. If you're contouring the bank, you can just begin to twitch it down. So it'll actually twitch down and follow the bank. It'll dive just a little slower. But here's the key to a jerkbait, and it's basically the pauses. Now in warmer water, post spawn into the summer, all the way into late fall, I'm going to work this bait fast. There's really not going to be any pauses or any real stops. I mean, it is going to be a 1-second stop. And the thing that I could tell you, the easiest, the simplest retrieve, this is what works for me a lot, is I go twitch, twitch, pause, twitch, 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 pause, twitch, pause. So 2, pause, 3, pause, 1, pause. Now here's the only difference. This is the only thing that I change up. So in colder weather, from late fall to the spawn, let's say to pre-spawn, the only thing that I'm going to do different is lengthen the time that I pause. So I'm still going to make a long cast, and now I'm just going to go twitch, twitch, 1, 2, 3, twitch, 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 1, 2, 3, twitch, 1, 2, 3. That 3-second pause is generally where I'm going to start in colder water, and then I'm going to lengthen it if I'm not getting bit. Now, the difference between a twitch bait and a rip bait. A twitch bait, you're going to see I can get a lot of action out of that bait by simply quick little rod movements. Really just using the tip. Now remember, much like walking a dog with a topwater, you're going to want to twitch it and point back at that bait, okay? Now a rip bait, you're going to really rip that bait. You're going to really move your rod tip. You're going to get it to move. Really got to force action into that bait. Got to really move it. Nice, hard snaps of the rod. So what's the bite going to feel like? You're going to feel two things. They're going to hit it during the pause, which means they're going to come up, and you're just going to feel nothing to a slight line tick, and then when you twitch that rod, it's just going to be there. Set the hook, not hard, just reel into it and begin to play the fish. Again, you've got small treble hooks. As soon as you twitch that bait, it's going to set it, lean into it, and start reeling. The second, they're going to knock the fire out of that bait. You're going to be twitching it, and all of a sudden you're going to feel it just go bow. It's going to knock the snot out of it. It's going to jerk the rod out of your hand. They're going to come up, they're going to grab it, they're going to turn away from you, and they're going to pull the rod out of your hand. They're going to do that while that bait moves. So they may be sitting there watching it, waiting for it to twitch again, and as soon as it twitches, they just plow that thing. Holding your rod and reel. Guys, these are low profiles. They're designed to be palmed. Make sure you're feeling your line. It just connects you directly to your bait this way. Don't push on it. You're going to get cut if you do. Just barely allow it to touch your finger. Hold it right there. You're going to have a lot more leverage when you're jerking, and you're going to have a lot more leverage when you're setting that hook, and you can put that butt into your forearm and get that bass in the boat. So when's the best time to use a jerkbait? Because guys, that's important. One of the things that drives me crazy about people telling other people to gain confidence in a bait is saying, just go out there and throw it. No, you're not going to gain confidence in a new lure by just going out there and throwing it if you're throwing it at the wrong times. If the fish are sitting in 30 foot of water and you're throwing an 8-foot diving jerkbait, guess what's not going to happen? You're not going to catch bass. If you want to learn how to do this, go out, let's say from very late fall, the first of winter, to pre-spawn, just a little after post-spawn. That's when you throw these baits, and I promise you, you are going to have some of the funnest days of your life throwing these baits. All right, so I hope this helps you gain confidence in a jerkbait, a bait that I've been fishing most of my life. This style bait, a jig, and a soft plastic worm, guys, that's where it all began for me. So, as always, questions and comments in the comment section below. You know I love to talk about fishing with you guys. I love to talk about a jerkbait too. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring my bell so you're getting those notifications when these videos come out so you can watch them. Every view helps. Every like helps. And you guys rock.